the most biggest thing I kind of want to talk about is Ozzy, because it has some good Ozfest stories, and if you want to go to that one, seeing that has he died and it's relevant.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, dude. Shout out
So
to
let's.
Ozzy.
So nobody's ever come out with whoever threw that live bat on the stage.
Great.
Right, as far as I know, and as far as I've ever researched. And so here's the kind of story with that. My first Ozfest, my uncle was taking me. We were getting breakfast beforehand, and I wasn't really paying too much attention, and I was probably a little bit stoned. But he was telling me a story about that, and also in a roundabout way about how they were living in Medford there, where my mother, brothers, and sisters were, and they had bats in the attic there. And that's where I believe one of my uncles, he got the bat, they killed it, they took it into the concert there in Boston and threw it up on stage.
No.
Wait, your uncle, you believe, was the bat thrower?
I hope this is true.
Yes. He's dead. He's dead now. He died Agent Orange.
Oh my goodness! All right, well, let's get into that too.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
But let's. So you are saying
that escalated so quickly.
You are saying, because people are going to say this can't be true. But
I say, man.
I know. I've never once considered how the bat got on stage. You hear the story all the time. He talked about it in the beginning of that Letterman interview we actually pulled up a clip of yesterday. So the bat, for those who don't know, I'm sure everyone has heard this story. Someone threw a bat on stage. It was It was a dead bat. Ozzy says he thought it was a prop. Who knows if he's telling the truth? But what happened next is
who knows if he gave a shit? He probably even if he didn't notice, he still would have done it. It was Ozzy in his heyday, man.
Bit the head off, knew immediately that was a real bat. And now, Vincent, you are saying this bat came from your uncle's attic?
Yeah, it would have been like my grandmother's house, but it was the attic there that they were living in Medford, Massachusetts, and they had bats in the attic there. So I'm sure they were rabble rouser troublemakers. Yeah.
Did he talk about anything? Any details about the bat?
So this was coming from my other uncle, the other one of my the brother. Okay. And so they were all like their own little group, and they probably had friends and whatnot too. But this would have been, I don't know if I want to say his name, but he who went to Vietnam and died. But all right, I'll say it. This is my uncle Ronnie, and so Ronald, he was the biggest troublemaker. He had a choice between jail or Vietnam. Just went to that story, and my other uncle, he kind of told me, he was telling the story in a roundabout way. He didn't necessarily admit to it, but they were. It was like he was telling me the story and then telling me about how we had bats in the attic and blah, 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 blah. And, someone threw it up on stage in Boston. And it's like, it wasn't for some time afterwards. I kind of put two things together and I was like, oh my God, that was them. One thing about the bats, what people don't know, people would throw rubber bats on the stage all the time. And Ozzy would bite the heads off of bats. So it was a normal thing for Ozzy to do.
It is said that he believed that it was a prop. I think
he probably did.
In 1991 when he came back out with it. There's a couple of different recounts that Ozzy had, because who knows what mental state that he was in while he was on stage. He was in performance mode, right?
Part of that, yep.
But he was claimed to have said that immediately something felt wrong and that he had this kind of warm, goopy liquid in his mouth, which would have not came from a rubber bat. So... I tend to believe that it was, but he's never said that it was actually alive. I think at one point he stated that it was a real live bat, but even that, I think he was just like, I don't think he really knows if it was alive or not.
Yeah.
No, they killed it. He's
claiming they killed it.
I'm sure they killed it, and they took it in there.
So your uncles made Ozzy get rabies shots.
That's correct. Which is why they never wanted to come out about it, and why wow. Nobody wanted to say anything because I'm sure they thought they could get in trouble, which it was so far after the fact that things.
Well, this is the kind of news that we break here on Inverted World Live. People.
Well, here's the thing. Now,
I was like, this is going to be a great story.
Now, let me get into this with you, Vincent, because I've looked up out here, and there is a man who claims that he brought this bat to the concert. So I want to reveal this name, but are you comfortable with saying your uncle's name on air?
His name was Ron. His first name was Ronnie. So if it wasn't Ronnie, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is where it's all story and hearsay, but that's where
What is that story
as
saying?
far as I know, it's that.
So
I mean, I'm sure people are gonna
of
come out
course.
of the woodwork and say it was, they did it and whatnot. But
yeah, BBC has this
know.
reposted, and this is according to Des Moines Register, that it was a man named Mark Neal who claims to have brought this bat to the concert. A 17-year-old at the time of the concert, and said that his brother had brought a bat home a fortnight before, but sadly it hadn't survived.
So now,
we think that this bat was dead for a week before he brought it there and threw it up there.
we need to know, where's the bat?
Yeah.
Did someone take the bat and preserve it? I actually have a mummified bat at home right now that I found beneath a bed in a house that Ulysses S. Grant used to live in when I was a furniture mover. We went and cleaned out this house that a lot of these people lived in.
You mean like it was just dried up?
It was straight up, it wasn't like wrapped like a mummy, but literally mummified.
Did anybody else immediately go to like he was wrapped?
It wasn't.
He had his organs removed, his brain pulled out of his nose with a hook.
It was completely dried out, and its wings are out perfectly,
stuffed with salt packets and shit. Yeah.
I have it in a little coffin that looks like this room, and it's interesting. But I would never eat that bat. His name's Edgar. But what I'm saying is maybe someone saved it, and then we can go do some forensics and see if it's from Boston. Is this bat from Boston?
I think it would have to be, because that's where the show would have to happen then. So that's the thing with that guy's story, is that if they weren't in Boston at the time, which I'm not related to that person,
right?
That's kind of fishy. And so another part about that is that this probably would have been a bat they caught that day. They had active, bats in that attic.
Well, this just makes me think that there were a shit ton of people there that had a bat.
Say that again.
This kind of just makes me think that there were a shit ton of people there who actually did have bats on them.
Real bats.
It wasn't just one person, so that's even crazier.
Throw real bats.
That's a funny point. I didn't even think of that.
Okay, so that's
multiple people doing bad things.
That's a crazy story. Before we get to if you have like a haunted story or any other story, did you know? But before we get to that, did you know your uncle well, who suffered and died from Agent Orange?
No, not well, not too well. No.
I'm just curious about like what that must have looked like or how that was. It's such a horrible thing to have to suffer with.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about the experience of what he went through or anything like that. I didn't know him too well. I know him. I'd seen him. Him and my mother weren't close.
Okay.
For particular whatever reasons. And but I know meeting him, he was like a rough, tough guy. Like after going to Vietnam, this is a guy who definitely likely killed a lot of people. Seen some crazy stuff. Again, got Agent Orange. It destroyed his liver. So he always had a lot of his liver that finally gave out. I believe he died. He was like 47, 48. Very young when he died.
Wow. It's terrible.
That was my Uncle Ronnie.
You know who made Agent Orange? Anyone?
It was, I believe, the Nazis or us. Someone, one of us.
Well,
one of us.
I'm not sure about the history. I guess let me refine that question. Do you know who made it in America for Vietnam? It was
it's mixed. It's
Monsanto.
That's right. That's right.
That's a big shocker.
Good old Monsanto making all the Agent Oranges, because there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think Super Orange.
Right, it's an herbicide, of course. That's
right. Good old pesticides. They were like, well, it's fine to kill the enemies with it. We didn't know it was going to hurt all of our soldiers too, and then destroy their lives and kill them. Wild stuff.